It's fine. Okay. Oh. Fucking take two. Jesus Christ, I gotta restart everything. Production of Outer Wilds, take one. Hello, and welcome to the first part of a many-part series, where I turn your favorite games, books, and web series, looking at you, Magnus Archives, call me, into a film or a TV show. For the very first episode of this web series, I'll be going into one of, if not my favorite game of all time, Outer Wilds. As there are many planets in the Outer Wilds solar system that are all fully explorable, I'll be splitting them into multiple parts, where I go over everything that's plot relevant and that needs to be shot. And at the end, I will tally it up and give my best estimate. And the world is our oyster at this point. Infinite budget. Within reason. I would also like to say that I'm not a professional. Even though I may look it, or sound like it, I am not a professional. So take these with a big heap of salt, as I'm trying my best to give just basic estimates. These numbers could be easily larger or smaller. And of course, Outer Wilds is built purely on your drive to explore different areas. So any knowledge you know of the game is already spoiling. So I'm going to put a big spoiler alert right now. Just go play the game. It's so good. It's so good. Just please go play it if you can. This video will be here waiting for you afterwards. It's not gonna go anywhere, so you just take your time and play through. Played it? Good. For all the people that haven't played it though, and that can't afford it or any reason, valid, very valid. I'll just give a very basic plot of the beginning of the plot, as the first two areas we're going to explore will be Timber Hearth and Attlerock. Outer Wilds is based kind of like a Groundhog's Day simulation, where you, the kid from the Hearthian village, go out to explore the Nomai ruins and what they've left behind. The Nomai are basically a precursor to you that were around thousands of years beforehand, and you just recently were able to go up into space and explore more of them. Upon going to the museum, which we will talk about, don't worry, you come into contact with one of these ruins that gives you memories. And guess what? You're in a loop now. Every time you die, you get transported back to when you wake up. And that's all I'm going to talk about. I'll go into more detail later, but that's all we're going to talk about now. So, shh. Shh. Keep quiet, you. As I said, the first stop on our journey will be Timber Hearth, the home of the Hearthians, and where the beginning, and honestly, whenever most of the time you'll be spending on Timber Hearth and its moon, Attlerock. Before I get into Timber Hearth and everything it has in store, let's take a deep dive into Attlerock. Attlerock is a very nice area, very moon-like to our moon, of course, and it's a very rocky and dusty terrain. The two locations that we'll be looking into, as they're the most plot convenient, will be Esker's Lookout and the Eye Signal Locator. While it would be cool to talk about the flag that Feldspar put on the moon, or Esker's broken ship, I don't see them being that plot relevant. They're good at world building, but for a production of a film, they don't add much, sadly. It would be cool, don't get me wrong, it would be really cool to put this, but they're good for the game. And if we're going through 15 locations, yeah, 15. This is going to be a long series for part 1. We can't be setting up all this world building. We have more to talk about. Side note, I would like to make this film with the least amount of CGI or VFX possible. I'm a sucker, a massive sucker for practical effects. Backrooms, oh, I love you. I love the designs and how they built in space. Well, it's not precedent now, because apparently that's controversial. Apparently. Plus, we have infinite money here. We're not going to go the Avatar route, where everything is just made out of CGI. Don't get me wrong, I love Avatar. It's an amazing film. It's beautiful. But at that point, we're just remaking the game, and that's just not fun. We have so much money at our disposal. We're not going to put it all into some VFX games. We're going to shoot something fun. Attlerock has a very similar terrain to our moon, being very rocky and dusty. Now, where on Earth would be the best place to film this? Nowhere. Sadly, there's nowhere on Earth that I can find that gives the same terrain, as well as the low gravity. And we're not just gonna strap a camera crew and all the actors to the moon. Let's be realistic now. So we're gonna have to use our first of many studios. It's not the best. Trust me, it's not the best. I would have loved to found somewhere we can actually shoot this, maybe with some like wires to give off the effects. But it just wouldn't look the greatest. Unless, once again, I am just a 19-year-old. Does not have too much knowledge of the industry. If there's any other way we could film this, anywhere that I know of, or any other tricks, let me know in the comments, honestly, because I am always interested to fucking learn more about this. And if there's any way you could have actually filmed that instead of a studio, please tell me. So the first 2 locations will have to be in the studio, especially just for better production design and everything. So the average studio price that I could find in LA is about $5,000. So 2 shoot days, we're gonna put $10,000 for each day, plus $3,000 each for production design. Once again, these are estimates. I don't know the actual price. I couldn't find the actual price of how much it will cost. I could only find the average, but the entirety of Attlerock will take $26,000 to make. Honestly, not that bad. Thought it was gonna be worse. Next, the home of the Hearthians, Timber Hearth. This planet is a very rocky, very forest-like, Earth-like, as you can say, planet. I'm really speaking like this is like a travel agency. Come now and meet the beautiful people, the beautiful Hearthians, and visit a lovely town. Got some craters, got some mountains. If you really want to, you can go underwater caving through all the currents. But watch out. You can't escape. Anyway, side note, the trees in Outer Wilds, the trees on Timber Hearth are insane and are a genuine threat to the solar system. I'm not even going to talk about Dark Bramble. I'm not even going to talk about it, because that is, you could see the mess that is Dark Bramble. That is absurd. But I saw a great video about it. I will put credit up, right? Blah. Go watch it. The trees are insane. How can like a few plants in the Hearthian ship completely give them enough oxygen for so long? They pump out oxygen way too fast. I have an actual theory. I have a theory that every planet that you go to has oxygen, an oxygen-rich atmosphere. And because the only time you stop taking oxygen from your tank is when you're going next to trees, and there's no way those trees are enough oxygen and enough of a bubble around that you're just able to take off your helmet and you're perfectly fine eating marshmallow. I know it's a game, but there's something going on with those trees. Okay, side note over. Let's talk about Timber Hearth. The multiple locations I'll be discussing in this video are the village. That includes the museum, the Zero G Cave, and the Ghost Matter. I will be talking about the Ghost Matter This is a very prevalent. We're gonna have to talk a lot about it in the interloper episode. So we're gonna talk about it now. Very threatening. It's 2 craters. This, you could see the dark bramble problem. Just, it's okay. We'll figure it out. The next areas that we will be visiting are the Geyser Mountains, and its caves and underwater current. We'll get into the underwater current. And the Nomai ruins right outside it. Simple? You think? I wish. Let's talk about the village first. The village is the first area you get into the game, and it's the area you wake up after every loop. It's the home of the Hearthians. So it's a lot of tree tops, it's a lot of tree houses, a lot of buildings connected to some rivers and a waterfall. It's also in a big crater. So, where can we find somewhere on Earth? Somewhere like that. But to be fair, where have I seen a place surrounded by woods with a bunch of huts as homes and maybe is connected to the Force? That's right, we're going to Endor. More actually, we're just gonna film where they filmed Endor scenes in Return of the Jedi. They filmed these scenes in Redwood Natural Park in California. While it doesn't have the whole crater look that we were hoping we can go for, it has the trees, it has everything needed. And also the crater in itself is not an important plot point. Once again, it's a more world building than actual plot relevant, because you never actually see a meteor hit Timber Hearth to make a crater. So we can stretch the imagination a bit just to have it on normal land. It leaves a perfect place for everything that we need, and for the mealy cost of $200 that they have on their website. You can film there for just $200. However, there's a problem. How are we gonna get the buildings there for the shoot? Funny enough, it's actually pretty simple. There is no rules about construction that I could find on their website. I mean, look at Return of the Jedi. They built everything that we basically need for the Ewok party scene at the end of the film. All the tree huts and everything. They even lit an open fire in California. The wildfire state. They shot the whole film Return of the Jedi for $32 million back in 1983. So adjusting for inflation, that is $92.6 million nowadays. However, I could not find a reasonable price for how much the actual Ewok scene and huts took to make. So we're going to have to make an estimate. Get ready for me having to say that a bunch, because that is about 90% of this whole web series, is me taking estimates. I'm happy. I would love it if I could know the actual numbers and actually come up with something. But this is just what we're going to have to do. Knowing the film and all the other things that went into the film, such as Tatooine, Death Star, all the other battles around Endor, I'm going to make an estimate that's on the lower side of the budget, that how much they needed. I'm going to do a healthy guess. About 5 million of the 32.5 million went into just that scene. Because we went there multiple times during the Return of the Jedi, during the day and during the night. So they probably had to build a big scene all for that. So adjusting for inflation now, that is $17 million for just the village. Whew. We will be including the museum into this sum, as that is another building that you find within the village. Well, we're going to slap on another extra $50K, just to be fair, because there's a lot more production design that we're going to need to go into that, while also making a reasonable size observatory. While it's not massive like some of the other observatories and how much they cost, it's meant to be kind of primitive, so $50K seems like a nice estimate. Now, the Zero-G Cave. I scoured for places that would be big enough for like a cave system, and that are like normal and like safe to find in caves. But thinking about it and thinking about how there's going to be a bunch of costumes, there's a bunch of preparation, and also don't even mind the giant satellite, it just wouldn't work. it just wouldn't work. It's not realistic enough. It's not safe enough for the actors, especially with all the makeup department, which we'll get to. We're going to get to that after all the locations. We're going to get more into all the acting side, like which actors I want to play. We're going to get into the makeup. We're going to get to the equipment. We're going to get into all of that in a later episode after we do all the locations. So don't you worry. Plus, as the name says, it's in 0G. So we would need to put an actor in fiber ropes to even simulate it, which once again does not work, as you know, caves are very cramped. This will need to be put into the studio apartment because hey, we have a dream, but not really one to die for. So that'll be another $5,000, $10,000 actually, just to be a shoot and another day, just to be safe. Because once again, we have infinite money and infinite time and infinite things, so we're going to be safe. We're not gonna go for best possible outcomes. We're gonna go for safe, just because, like, just in case. It's better to be safe on a film set and give yourself extra time than to not. And we're gonna use something up our sleeves, which I love, which is miniatures. We're going to just use a very primitive and small miniature of the satellite, and then just do close-ups of like wooden beams and stuff to give it off the impression that it's massive. We're gonna put another $13,000 to the total. Let's skip over Ghost Matter now. As you can guess, we will need to do some VFX and CGI, sadly, but we're just not gonna film space actually, and so space bearing film, so we're not gonna be able to do all that. And Ghost Matter is, well, it's not worldly. I'll get into that. We'll get into that. We finally escaped the village, and holy, 17 million already added to our total. But we're gonna go easy now. The next stop on our journey will be the Quantum Grove Crater. Just slap another 200 for redwood. There's not even that much that we need to build for that. Once again, it is easy enough because there's no location, there's no buildings that we need to make. There's like a few signs, but that's fine. Like, that's not going to be that much added cost. That can be put onto the other costs. Like, that's just a few wooden planks. There's a free wood shop down by the road of my house. Like, just get some planks there and make it. It's not even going to be that bad. The Yunbar Crater, however, is going to be a bit more of a struggle because, well, yeah, we're going to have to now discuss some problems with Dark Bramble. Because you see, it's all vines. The crater itself is fine. We could just pop another 200 down for redwood, be golden. The vines itself are massive, and we're not even going to talk about the portal that is in the flower thing. That's for Dark Bramble, because that's not, we'll get into that. But you see that Dark Bramble is a plant-like virus that takes over planets. So how do we recreate this and make a gigantic, threatening-looking thing in real life? I was pondering away with paintings and with like scale to be like in the background, but for the scale of it, it might not look too realistic, and really want to go for realistic. We want to feel a bit uneasy about this thing. And then it came back to me, miniatures. And I might hear you saying, but we have someone in the foreground. How are we going to do that? Easy. Double exposure. We'll use some editing. We're going to just use a miniature of the vines. Put it up right in front of the camera. Keep the camera still there. It's in a big open area, of course. But we're going to move the vines. We're going to have the actor walk out. He's just going to be standing there. For the wide shots, of course. We don't need to have it there for anything else. And then just boom, blam, put the guy back in front of it. Make it look, just edit it a bit. I will be delegating 300 to the miniature of the vines, just to make it look threatening and make it look really realistic. That should be enough. Now, on to the last few things that we have on Timber Hearth, end of this episode. The Geyser Mountains, the caves, the underwater current, and the Nomai ruins. When I was taking think of geyser mountains, of course there's multiple. There is multiple. But there's only one that we really need to show, which is this one. The big one with a massive hole in it, that obviously that's how you get into the mines. And you know what that kind of looks like? A little quiet place in Oregon called Gravity Falls Crater Lake. Crater Lake in Oregon. Crater Lake is a big inactive volcano that has a giant lake in the middle and an island. The price for Crater Lake was actually hard to find because it requires you having a big production ready and having done your tasks there already to send the money to the government for what they want, what they can get out of it. And when I was looking on the website, there was a minimum $1 million insurance fee. However, we can bypass this, as when you look into actually Crater Lake, you realize it's not going to work. It's not going to work for us. But you know what is going to work? The outside. We use the land as an establishing shot. We use Crater Lake as an establishing shot of the mountain. And of course, like CGI in a ship flying into the center. Not showing the actual lake or island in the middle. We're just going to show the outside. This bypasses the needs of the permit. As the permit states, a permit is needed when it occurs in an area not open to the public, requires more than hand-carried equipment, requires exclusive use of a site, may adversely impact park resources, values, or visitors, or is likely to additional administrative costs for National Park Service. As we are going to be doing either a helicopter or drone shot over it, that bypasses all the requirements. As for the mines, I have great news. Drum roll please. It will take place in a studio. If you think it's bad how many studios we're going to have to use for mines here, be scared of Ember Twin. I am. That will of course be another 13 grand total. Whenever there is a studio, I should preference this now, I will just be doing a baseline of 13 grand for, unless there are things that need to be added on that I think are going to be more special, 13 grand for two shoot days and for production design. Once again, as estimates, this is what I think is best. It can easily be larger or smaller, I don't know. People in the comments, tell me, is this a good number? Because I can easily bump it up. It's only just one figure in my total calculations. I can easily just put a few extra thousand on there. Or just in the end, I can just totally like, oh, every time you guys thought the studio should be more, like instead of 13, it should be 20, just plus 7 grand to each time I use the studio. And then doesn't change that much. As for the waterways that connect all around Timber Hearth, sadly, I think we should use CGI. While it would be cool to strap an actor in the suit and everything and go into water caves and do some underwater filming because it looks really interesting. Safety-wise, I just want to be safe and just use CGI. Because to give the effect of it being an actual cave, as you can see in the game, it's very claustrophobic. It's very, like, you know it's a cave. It's not like you're just going through a geyser in open water, which I'll be talking about Giant Steep. Watch when that comes out, because I will be talking a lot about underwater filmmaking during that. So I will be going more into that underwater filmmaking then. But because of the caves, it just doesn't seem safe. It doesn't seem safe enough to actually risk it. Because think of the crew, think of the actors, and having to... Because it's already scary to go underwater cave diving. It takes 20 people a year. Every year, it takes about 20 people. 20 people lose their lives underwater cave diving. And imagine that with a giant crew and an actor having to do multiple takes. Plus, thinking about it, for lights and for camera and everything, it wouldn't look that good to do it on an actual location. It just wouldn't look good. So we're gonna put it into the sum of VFX, which I'll be going into momentarily. Last, but certainly not least, is the Nomai Ruins right outside the Geyser Mountain. The best place I can see this, for even continuity-wise, is Pumice Desert, right outside in a really desert area, right outside Crater Lake. It's a very big open space that leads straight up to the mountain, and nobody's gonna be there, so it bypasses the need of the permit as well, so it's also going to be free. It's right on the side of the road as well, so in case of any mishaps, we're perfect. It's just right there. The set itself wouldn't need much. For all the Nomai Ruins we'll be going through this series, it is very minimal. Just a few archways and the teleporter, which is very just LED lights. So I'll be setting a 2K budget for it. Now that we're almost done, let's address the elephant in the room, VFX. Let's touch back on the ghost matter that I skipped within the village. I wish there'd be some sick, cool way to replicate this ghost matter effect. It doesn't even need to be like transparent or anything, just some way to give it that like cool wave life frequency effect. But sadly, currently I do not have the knowledge for it, and also I don't think it exists. As this ghost matter gives also very polar lights, northern lights, your aurora borealis, basically. While it would be really cool to have this in your backyard, the northern lights are a byproduct of the geomagnetic pull of the earth and the solar winds displacing it. So unless some production company is just hiding a mini sun in their studio, we're gonna have to use VFX for this. Once again, I will not be going that much into actors, crew, or anything. I just want to get the locations down for these videos first, as that is honestly the most interesting part of the series. I can go a lot into camera, into lights, into all that, and give you figures, but of course it's a solar system game. It's an exploration game. You're most interested, and I'm most interested, into actually knowing where we could film these. However, it would be smart to give a base VFX and CGI baseline that we can blanket onto the rest of our production. This movie, as we're using practical more, will not be as expensive as Avatar's, so we're going to use something very similar. Interstellar. Interstellar is a very space exploration heavy movie as well, going to multiple planets, filming on locations there, filming in spaceships, and also simulating a black hole, which we'll get into. Brittle Hollow. Side note, it won't be as expensive or as cool as the Interstellar one, of course, but we will be needing to simulate a black hole and a white hole. So get ready for that. Interstellar had a budget in 2014 of $165 million. So once again, to take a healthy estimate out of that whole sum, I will be taking an estimate of $65 million and putting it onto our total. But once again, this is to blanket all of the production of Outer Wilds. If I believe that we need to increase it for other things, I will keep going back to this number just to increase it or decrease it or not if I think about it. But I think 65 million, knowing the game and everything, 65 million will be enough. Now, it is the moment you guys have been waiting for. How much would it cost to make Timber Hearth and Attlerock in Outer Wilds into a real film production? The total is, drumroll please, the work in progress budget is 82 million. My camera died. If you would believe that, my camera died when I was saying that number. It was too big of a number, apparently. Anyway, for the grand total for Timber Hearth and Attlerock is $82,091,900, which honestly isn't as much as I thought it was gonna be. Don't get me wrong, it's a massive fund of money, way more than I've ever seen in my whole life, especially also for 2 planets. But also, Interstellar had 165 million. Project Hail Mary this year, 2026, had a budget of 250 million. And 80 million is not that much. Most of this whole sum is just in the CGI. If we take the CGI out, it's only $17,091,900 for just Timber Hearth and Attlerock, which is honestly not bad. Now, I think this is present, and I should say this. Do I believe these numbers are correct? Do I believe with full certainty that these numbers are the truth? No. No. I'm not going to stand up here and I'm not going to say this is how much it'll cost. This is how much it'll cost and this is what you need to do for these productions and everything. I'm not going to come up here and say that because I just don't know. There's a massive asterisk, as you can see, next to these numbers. It's an ish. It's an around this number. Because once again, these come from older films that I don't even know the whole price of, estimates, and guesses. Who knows how much an actual studio would cost to make all of that? I don't. I'm a 19-year-old filming with a GH5 in the basement of my film school in front of a green screen that I have painlessly tried to green screen out and also try to fit in, but it's tiny. I don't know everything. And isn't that just something we need to hear in Outer Wilds? Even in Outer Wilds, you don't end the game knowing everything. There's still some things missing. And, well, I think that's perfect for a number like that. It's weird that I'm saying this as if we're done, but we're not done. That's just the first two areas. First two places that you'd probably go in the game. But what would be the next? I've heard tales of a water planet, of someone going through a similar situation as you. Somewhere. That might be a bit more costly. next episode, when I film it, will be about Giant's Deep, and about its underwater currents, its islands, and its core. And also maybe the giant ship floating in its orbit. So for a final basis, we'll leave Timber Hearth, $17,065,900. Attlerock, 26 grand. CGI, 65 million. I really hope you enjoyed this episode, and stay tuned for when we go into Giant's Deep. See ya then.